ways you manifested a lot of what you talked about. So for example, it is kind of rascuache to have a narrator come out, but he's the Pachuco, it's named after film. Tell us a little about the symbolism there, and it's fun too.
Oh, it's super fun, and it was an idea that I wasn't sure was going to work. I mean, it's like a documentary about a guy, but he made a character. What if that character narrates the documentary about the guy, right? Like, it's a decent idea once you see it on the screen, but before you do it, it's like, oh, is that a bad idea? So we started it out, I was writing the different narration lines, and it always starts bad, so like it's bad, and it was my voice as the Pachuco, which is not a good move. Like, you know, I never intended that for the screen, but we do scratch tracks, right? So you can just like hear the pacing of the narration and test it out. So, you know, it was hard to convince the broadcasters, but we kept at it, and then the second we got a recording of Edward James Olmos, it was like, well, this is the most genius thing ever. Of course it's gonna work. I'm like, this is great. And so, yeah, it's really all about Eddie, and also the authentic spirit that Luis tapped into when he created that character speaks to something true that's really deep and beyond words that really resonated with audiences in the 70s and still resonates today. And when we brought that character back to life, it feels like it's speaking to today's time as well. So it was an honor to be a part of that facilitation of that voice.
I love it. Now, and as people will be getting PhDs in David Alvarado studies, I want to give
doubt that.
I want to give him one free answer too, because what I love about that homage to the early movement is that, you know, Luis had the guts to do that on stage, and he wound up launching that man's career, and I love it because it's like the world is catching up to that original vision, and here he is narrating it again. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, and I think people should do, you know, thesis and doctoral studies on Danny Valdez and on Cheech Marin and like Luis Valdez. I mean, and part of this film that one of the things I'm most proud of that Everett and I and the team put together was a lot of that footage that you saw was never before seen footage. We rescued over 80,000 feet of cellular. We digitized it, beautiful 4K. So right there on screen, you just saw a drop in the bucket of what we found through Luis's archive and the people who put that film together. So it was just sitting on a shelf for 50 years. And so now we're making it available to anyone for free. Go out, use it for your studies, use it for your documentaries. It's now there for the future. So we're done.
Danny, thank you too for sharing the story about your brother. And I think that was also another brilliant literary approach, made it feel at home, something we never knew, but it was also, it pulled at my heart and soul. Can you tell us a little more about sharing that? I don't know if that's the first time. I've never heard that, all those layers before.
Well, you know, it's about family, right? We're all about family. And the theater was always about family. We're celebrating 60 years of the Teatro Campesino. We just celebrated 60 years. We're still alive and kicking. We're still performing in San Juan Bautista. If you're in California, come to the theater. In San Juan Bautista, we still perform there every year. And there's a constant performance going on every year. And it's more than just we're into our third generation of actors, of little kids, little grandkids have now become members of the theater, have become directors, have become. It's amazing to see that happen, you passing it on from one generation to the next generation. And you see, legacy is family. It's all about family. And so being able to share that and tell the story of Richie Valens, which is about his family, the story of Henry Leibovitz and his family, it's all about family. And being able to embrace that, embrace the fact that we're all here together, that we all move together and we can do something together. Viva la raza!
So Cheech, Luis talks about being an English major. Are there any English majors in the audience? Any liberal arts and science folks? Yeah, awesome, awesome. Because in the film, they say Luis, his words were part of his protest. You're a fellow English major, Cheech.
Yeah, English major. As a second language, but. Yeah, I was an English major all through college. I mean, I was really into literature, did that, and I thought I was going to be an English professor at some point until I discovered pottery. and my true Mexican roots came out, man. And I said, forget the rest of this. I'm a potter now. And that's why I did that for a couple of years, a professional potter. I was an assistant to a very famous potter in Canada, and I went up to there to Alberta to be his assistant, and it was the coolest time. I'd never been in a place where it was snowing before. I'd never seen snow before, and I got there. It was the coldest winter in Alberta in 40 years. I saw a lot of snow there, you know. So it was a life-changing experience. But what about English majors? Well, you know, I know you're a potter now. You have to live that life. Okay. Nice choice.
And we do have to thank you, Cheech, because you are a star, but you gave all your heart to this documentary. We can see it on screen. You're here tonight with us. You're promoting this. You're going to inspire everybody here to promote it as well. And you keep giving back to our cultura. This film is about our legacy. The Cheech Gallery in Riverside, California does that as well. Yeah, give you a round of applause for doing all that. You guys do all that.
What happened in the museum is something that never happens before. You know, all collectors, they have a passion for collecting whatever it is. And I was a collector of something all my life, baseball cards, stamps, all that. And I discovered art through hanging out with the artists and Teatro Campesino. And so I had this big collection. I did a show at the Riverside Art Museum, and it was the biggest show they ever had, attendance-wise. And the city manager, they had a building that they had to repurpose. It was a town library, and they either going to find a source to go in there, or they were going to tear it down. And they offered it to me for the collection, and I didn't understand what they were saying at first. I go, you want me to buy a museum? I'm doing okay. I'm museum rich yet, you know, but no, so no, we want to give you the museum and you give us the collection, and we'll support it for at least the next 20 years. And that never happens, never ever happens to any of these collectors, because they all come to the end of the collecting and what am I going to do with this? I can't keep it under the bed or in the closet anymore. I have to find it. And a lot of them just eat it, you know, because there's nowhere to go. But this was meant to happen. This was meant to happen, you know. And also, when I finally had to struggle with a decision, and I was telling Danny earlier that I didn't know what to do, and I was looking for a sign. I'm a big believer in signs. If I'm supposed to do something, I will see a sign, and that'll tell me. And so I was walking across the museum, it was a library there, and they were tearing out the books, and there's a big building. I says, by the way, how big is this building? And she said, oh, it's 66,420 square feet. That's the sign, 420, okay? Thank you, Lord. It was a situation where it would require me to give them the collection. This is a collection that I've been spending 50 years putting together. It's not lending them or, you know, for a little bit of time. No, I had to give it to them. And I wanted to, at the end, I wanted to do that to erase all doubt about why that happened. Because ever since I was 5 years old when I made my first record, the Chicano community has supported me all along, everything I ever did, whether it's movies or stage show or whatever. And at the end of the day, that was my gift back to the Chicano community for all their support that they had given me.